The Empire Trembles. Humanity's lost warship returns from the shadows. The galaxy had learned to whisper. Not from peace, from fear. The Dominion ruled like a shadow over every sun. Its banners hung on shipyards and city domes. Its judges spoke soft and people obeyed. Worlds lowered their flags. Songs turned quiet. Hope moved underground and learned to keep its breath small. Historians called humans a footnote. A lost world. A small flame that went out long ago. Officers laughed when Earth was named in reports. An unfinished species, they said. Brave in stories. Absent in real life. On the rim of the Kandar corridor, a Dominion picket ship drifted. The crew watched cold stars crawl across the glass. Same patrol, same silence. The navigator played old music through a cracked speaker. The captain sipped bitter tea and checked the same empty scan again and again. Then the alarms bit down. A mass came out of folded space. Not a fleet, a single shape. Broad, angular, sharp like a hunting bird. Blacker than space itself. No glow, no reflection. It swallowed light and gave nothing back, the helmsman swore. The sensor chief tried to scan. Readings returned as noise. Every beam bounced. Every probe failed. The unknown ship did not answer pings. It did not turn. It did not speak. It hung there, patient, watching. On its hull, lines flickered. Rings and bars. Simple marks, old marks. The junior comms officer leaned close to the screen and went pale. Sir, those are Terran glyphs. Silence pressed on the bridge, heavy and cold. Someone whispered that it must be a trick. Someone else said it was a ghost. The captain opened a channel anyway. His voice sounded too loud in his own ears. Unidentified vessel. State your origin, only quiet came back. Quiet, and the weight of invisible eyes. Word moved faster than ships. The report jumped from outpost to outpost and then to the High Admiralty. At first the admiral smiled. One odd sighting. A pirate paint job. A rebel prank. But then came 2 more reports, then 5. Then 10 different systems. Same arrival, same black hull, same failure of scans. The stranger always appeared without warning, like a thought you did not want, and stayed still as stone, as if taking notes. Rumors spread along freight lanes. Miners in rock suits said the old planet had woken up. Smugglers called the vessel the Night Ark. Border garrisons painted over Earth symbols on warehouse walls, then found them scrawled again by morning. The Dominion tried to drown the noise. The news feeds ran bright reels and careful lies. Officials called the ship a false image. A slicer's trick, a glitch in old sensors. But fear did not care about statements. Fear listened to the shape people felt in their bones. 5 nights after the first sighting, the shape returned in a place it should not be. A convoy crossed the torque belt with 3 heavy escorts. The crews were relaxed. No one attacked the Dominion in clear view. Not here, not ever. Space rippled like heat above stone. The black ship stepped out of the ripple and stared. Escorts armed everything. Missiles primed. Plasma coils screamed awake. The lead cruiser's gunners grinned. Big guns make brave men. The stranger moved. Not a slow drift. A lunge. 1 heartbeat it rested. The next it was inside the formation, where math said it could not fit. White lances cut. Shields went down like paper. The lead cruiser broke open without time to shout. The second tried to burn hard and run. The black ship was already there, as if it had read the plan a minute early. A line of light crossed the hull. The ship folded. The third fired wildly. Nothing landed. The stranger flew as if it had seen this fight 100 times. Then it stopped. It faced the freighters. It did nothing. It watched. It waited and it vanished. No jump trace. No flare. Here. Then gone. The survivors screamed into the network. The Dominion sensors worked fast. Too slow, the story grew teeth. Dock gangs in cold stations whispered new names for the shadow. Children drew it on walls with chalk stolen from classrooms. Old rebels took out folded flags they had hidden under floors and smoothed the creases with shaking hands. In the High Citadel, the admirals met under black stone and gold fire. They did not laugh now. They asked the questions no one liked. What can arrive without wake? What can blind every eye? What chooses to be seen and when? No one had answers. Every chart felt smaller. Every hallway felt longer. The Citadel seemed to breathe with them, slow and tight. Out past the rim, under a thin blue star, the black ship hung alone, patient as a hunter on a winter ridge. It did not send a message. It did not show a flag. It only let the faintest marks glow on its skin, rings and bars from a language older than the Dominion's pride. Earth. The galaxy did not say the word aloud. Not yet, but the word moved anyway like a spark under dry grass, and the spark reached places the Dominion could not watch all the time. Mines, slums, deep farms, barracks where young soldiers stared at their boots and wondered what they would do if the shadow came for them. The captain of the first picket ship stared out at the empty dark and felt it staring back. He had served for 20 years without doubt. Tonight, doubt finally found him. The galaxy had learned to whisper. It was about to remember how to speak. The first attack had been called a fluke. At least that was the story the Dominion fed to its people. They said the convoy destroyed itself during engine tests. They said rebels planted explosives. They said anything, to hide the truth that their mighty empire had been wounded by one lone ship. But the truth traveled faster than light. Dockers whispered it while unloading ore. Prison guards heard it in the dark. Even Dominion cadets, raised to believe Earth was a myth, started asking questions. What if it's real? Someone asked. What if it's them? The Admiralty laughed at first. Then they stopped. Because the reports kept coming. Different sectors, same story. A single black ship appearing without warning. No hyperspace wake, no energy signature, no communication. It would just be there, as if space itself allowed it through. And always, before it vanished, someone would notice those strange glowing rings carved across its hull. The mark of Earth. In the Varan system, another patrol vanished. In the logs before their signal cut out, one phrase repeated again and again. It's watching us. Panic spread through the Dominion's outer fleets. Captains began refusing deep space assignments. Soldiers whispered about a ghost ship that hunted the oppressors of the galaxy. Commanders issued strict orders. Anyone caught spreading rumors would be executed. But fear has its own gravity. It pulls people together and it can't be silenced. Then, one night on the edge of the Arvin Belt, a Dominion strike group picked up a faint trace. The readings were distorted, but one thing was clear. An unidentified vessel was moving slowly through the void. Target acquired, said Admiral Sarix, commander of the Dreadfang. A heavy cruiser older than most moons. Finally, he growled, we'll end this illusion. 12 ships fell into formation. They surrounded the target like wolves circling prey. Scanners probed, but the image flickered like trying to see a shadow underwater. Then the lights dimmed. Every ship's reactor dipped at once. The stars seemed to go out. And there it was. The black vessel hung in the dark, silent and still. Its surface reflected nothing. Its markings pulsed faintly like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. Admiral Sarix leaned forward. Fire at will. Missiles streaked across the void. Railguns thundered. Plasma blooms turned space into daylight. The warship didn't move until it did. In less than a breath, it was gone from their sights. Then a scream filled the comms. It's behind us! The first Dominion destroyer tore apart. Its hull split from end to end. The second tried to turn. A single white beam sliced through it like silk. The third never had a chance. The attack came faster than its sensors could register. The Dreadfang shook as a shockwave hit. Sarix shouted orders, but no one could hear over the alarms. Shields up. Track it, track it. Sir, it's moving faster than light inside real space. That's impossible. But impossibility didn't matter. The ship was already cutting through another cruiser, precise and merciless. The Dominion's proud fleet, the one meant to hunt the Phantom, was burning. 3 minutes later, it was over. 9 ships gone, 3 limping home, and the black warship still intact, untouched, motionless again in the cold. It didn't finish them. It could have. But it didn't. It only let them see. Then, with no sound, no flash, no trace, it disappeared. For days afterward, every channel in the Dominion pulsed with quiet panic. No one spoke openly, but everyone knew. The whispers changed shape. It's not a ghost. It's not a rebel trick. It's human. The word human, once laughed at, returned like thunder. Traders remembered stories of Earth ships that vanished long ago. Miners claimed to hear a voice in the static of their radios. Even slaves chained in the Dominion's dark mines began to hum old songs. Songs about blue skies and freedom. The Dominion tried to hold the silence. tried to control the message, but silence itself had turned against them, and somewhere out beyond the edge of known space that same dark vessel drifted through the void. Its weapons were silent, its engines cold, but in its core something stirred, a hum, a pulse, a thought older than fear. It was not done. It was only testing the waters, and as it turned toward the next star system, one thought filled the galaxy's night. The shadow was not just watching anymore. It was hunting. The Dominion called it rebellion, but deep down even their admirals knew better. Rebellion was loud. It shouted, it burned cities and begged for attention. This thing, it was quiet, patient, deadly. It didn't demand freedom. It took it, piece by piece. Across the galaxy, reports piled higher than the Dominion could hide. Patrols disappearing, convoys ripped apart, outposts silenced in seconds. Always the same sign left behind. No debris, no survivors, and those faint glowing rings scorched into metal walls. The mark of Earth. At first the Dominion laughed it off. A coincidence, they said. Pirates playing at ghosts. But laughter turned thin when an entire mining colony went dark. 50,000 workers, gone without a single distress call. The scanners found only one signal before the silence, an Earth frequency. The sovereign, ruler of the Dominion, was furious. He demanded proof, demanded results. So he ordered a hunt. A fleet of 12 warships, each larger than a city, was sent. Crews chosen for loyalty, not fear. Their orders were simple. Find the Earth ship and erase it from existence. At their head was Admiral Vyrek, a man carved from stone and pride. He had conquered worlds. He had burned rebel moons to ash. He didn't believe in ghosts. When his fleet entered the Yaren system, space was quiet. The dying sun glowed red, shedding dust like old blood. Vyrek's ships spread out, scanners sweeping. Hours passed. Nothing. Then, the shadows moved. A sensor tech gasped. "Sir, something just appeared." Vyrek turned. On the screen, a shape slid out from behind the sun. Black, sharp, silent. It was the warship. "Lock on," Vyrek ordered. "All guns. Fire." The fleet unleashed everything. Plasma cannons, missile storms, railgun bursts bright enough to blind the stars. And then, nothing hit. The black ship dissolved into a blur. Sensors screamed. Coordinates flipped. For every second it vanished, another Dominion ship died. It didn't turn. It didn't spin. It blinked. One heartbeat. Gone. The next, behind them, a single beam tore through the lead destroyer. Another struck from below, splitting a cruiser in half. The black ship didn't fire wildly. It aimed like it already knew where every weakness was. "Track it," Vyrek shouted. "We can't. It's phasing through our scans." His voice cracked for the first time in years. The crew's panic built like a wave. Shields are down, systems failing. The Dominion's proud fleet, 12 mighty ships, was being shredded like paper. Vyrek clenched his jaw. "Form line, hold steady." But there was no line left to hold. The warship came again, closer this time. Through the viewport, Vyrek saw it. The black hull gliding without sound. The faint blue glow of markings pulsing like slow lightning. It wasn't mechanical. It was alive. "Who commands you?" Vyrek whispered. As if hearing him, the ship turned slightly, its prow facing him like a beast recognizing its prey. Then a flash, a single silver torpedo launched, small, unremarkable, cut through the dark, like a shooting star. "Intercept it!" someone shouted. But there was no time. The torpedo struck Vyrek's flagship. Light burst brighter than the sun, blinding every screen, burning through every layer of shielding. And then, silence. When the light faded, Vyrek's ship was gone. Not destroyed. Not broken. Gone. Turned to dust, drifting in a ring of quiet fire. The remaining ships fled. Discipline shattered. Fear replaced command. The black vessel didn't follow. It simply floated there again, still, patient, as if the slaughter had been a lesson, not a battle. Hours later, the survivors limped back to Dominion space. They spoke in trembling voices. They said the warship knew their moves before they made them, that it wasn't just faster, it was smarter. It predicted them. It thought ahead. The Dominion tried to spin lies again. Said an ion storm destroyed the fleet, but no one believed it. The recordings told the truth. Every holofeed showed it. The black warship carving through the Dominion's might like a god of old vengeance. The whispers spread again, louder this time. Humans are back. They have technology beyond the Dominion. They've been watching. And in the quiet corners of the galaxy, hope flickered where it hadn't in centuries. On mining worlds, slaves drew the symbol of Earth into the dust. On forgotten stations, smugglers painted it on steel doors. And in rebel camps, for the first time in generations, soldiers smiled. The Dominion called it propaganda, but the people called it something else. A warning. Because somewhere out there, beyond the edge of known space, the Earth warship was still moving. It wasn't hiding anymore. It was hunting. The galaxy had not known silence like this in centuries. Every Dominion broadcast channel, every ship's radio, every mining outpost relay had gone quiet. Even the hum of the stars seemed to fade. Then, without warning, a single sound cut through the void. Static, deep, low, endless. Every screen flickered. Every signal froze. Pilots froze at their controls. Miners looked up from their drills. Children paused mid-step as the noise grew. Then came the voice. Calm. Cold. Human. This is Earth. 3 words, nothing more. Yet every corner of the Dominion felt it like a pulse beneath their skin. You believed we were gone. You believed wrong. We have watched. We have endured. Now, we return. And just as suddenly as it came, the voice vanished. The silence returned, but this time it was different. It wasn't the silence of fear. It was the silence before a storm. For the first time, the Dominion trembled, not because of an enemy fleet, but because of a message. The Sovereign's advisors scrambled to respond. They called it a trick, a pirate transmission, a rebel illusion. But their own systems showed something terrifying. The signal hadn't come from any Dominion world. It had come from everywhere. The same frequency had appeared across thousands of systems at once. Every ship, every comm array, every channel. No one could explain it. The Dominion's military scrambled. Armies doubled their patrols. Fleets were ordered to fire on sight at any unknown vessel. The propaganda machines roared back to life, screaming that the message was a fake. But deep down, no one believed it. The people had heard the truth. And once truth touches the stars, no empire can stop it. Days passed. And then, the impossible happened again. The black warship appeared above Keth 9, a prison moon known for breaking spirits. Thousands of rebels were held there, buried in steel and darkness. The guards mocked them daily. No one is coming, they'd say. The Dominion forgets its failures. Then the alarm sounded. Every turret turned upward as a ripple crossed the sky. The black warship appeared, silent as a dream. The guards panicked. Anti-ship guns opened fire. Beams of plasma lit the dark. The warship did not dodge. It responded. White light burned through defense towers. Every cannon melted where it stood. Not a single blast touched the prison below. Every strike was clean, measured, precise. Within minutes, the orbital guard fleet was gone. The warship moved lower. One by one, the prison gates unlocked. Cells opened. Power systems flickered back to life. But instead of prisoners running wild, there was only stillness. From their cells, men and women looked up through the cracked ceiling and saw the sky for the first time in years. A sky filled with the glow of the black ship's engines. Someone whispered the name Earth. Then another shouted it. Then hundreds. Thousands. Soon the whole prison moon shook with a single chant. Earth, Earth, Earth. From orbit, the warship tilted slightly, as if nodding. Then it vanished once more into the black. The freed prisoners didn't stop shouting. They spread across the moon, turning old Dominion banners upside down, painting the glowing Earth symbol on every wall. By the next sunrise, the galaxy knew. Earth had not just spoken, it had acted. Across the Dominion, the message repeated in whispers and songs and graffiti carved into metal walls. We have watched. We have endured. Now we return. And with every repetition, fear shifted. It no longer belonged to the weak, the broken, or the conquered. It belonged to the Dominion. In the high citadel, the sovereign stood before his council. His voice shook with fury. "Find them," he roared. "Find that ship. Find Earth." But even he could hear the truth in his own words. The Dominion's reign of fear was breaking, because the voice that once cried from a forgotten planet had become something greater. A promise. The humans had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Dominion had built its empire on fear. Fear kept worlds quiet. Fear kept soldiers obedient. Fear kept slaves in chains. But now that fear was turning against them. After the message from Earth and the liberation of Keth 9, the galaxy was no longer silent. Something had changed. Something deep and unstoppable. Across mining colonies and trade routes, the symbol of Earth began to appear. Carved into walls, painted onto cargo hulls, burned into steel by welding torches. A circle crossed by 3 lines. Simple, bold, unforgettable. The Dominion called it terrorism. But to everyone else, it was hope. In the factories of Varen Prime, workers refused to build weapons. In the mines of Ceradun, slaves dropped their tools and walked away. In the markets of the core worlds, people whispered Earth's words like a prayer. We have watched. We have endured. Now we return. The sovereign was furious. He demanded control. He demanded silence. But control was slipping and silence no longer obeyed him. Rebellion was waking up, slow, quiet, and everywhere. Meanwhile, the black warship had not vanished. It had become a shadow across the Dominion's maps, appearing and striking with surgical precision. Fuel depots exploded without warning. Sensor stations blinked out mid-report. Supply lines went dark for days at a time. Every strike was perfect. Quick, clean, and devastating. No fleets were destroyed this time. No grand battles. The warship was cutting deeper than that. It was carving out the Dominion's veins, its lifeblood. And still, no one knew how. The Admiralty swore they had new scanners, stronger weapons, and faster interceptors. But it didn't matter. The warship always appeared where they were weakest. Always just far enough to avoid traps. Some said it had spies inside the Dominion's own command. Others said it could hear transmissions before they were even sent. Admiral Tenar, the youngest in the Sovereign's Council, broke silence during a meeting. "What if it's not one ship?" he said. "What if Earth built more?" No one answered him. Because no one wanted to imagine it, the Sovereign slammed his fist against the table, his voice echoing through the golden chamber. "You speak of ghosts! Earth is dust. There is no fleet." But the tremor in his tone betrayed him. For the first time in living memory, the Dominion was reacting, not commanding. On the edge of the outer rim, small worlds that had been silent for generations began to send secret messages through coded relays. "If the humans can fight," one message read, "so can we. If the Dominion can bleed," said another, "we can make them bleed more." Even inside the Dominion's military, cracks began to show. Some captains refused to fire on civilians. Others vanished entirely, taking their ships with them. The Sovereign spies tried to crush the growing chaos, but it was like fighting a fire with paper. Every rumor they silenced birthed 10 more. The black warship was no longer just a vessel. It was a legend. 1,000 stories told it differently. Some said a machine commanded it. Others said it carried a single human, an immortal survivor of Earth fueled by vengeance and faith. But the ending was always the same. The ship appeared, the Dominion fell, and the weak were freed. On worlds long enslaved, people gathered in secret to listen for the static that came before the voice. They prayed for it, feared it, waited for it. Even soldiers began to question. What if the voice was right? What if Earth had returned? The Sovereign's Council held meeting after meeting. "Build new fleets," one admiral said. "Send spies to the rim," said another. "Spread fear," said the last. "Make them afraid again." But fear had changed sides. The Dominion's walls were still standing, But inside them, faith was rotting. In the cold corners of the galaxy, small ships without flags met in the dark. Old enemies shared food maps and plans. They called themselves the Reclaimers. They had one goal: to be ready when Earth called again, and out in the silent dark far beyond Dominion space, the black warship floated. Its engines were cold, its lights dim, but deep within something stirred, a quiet hum like a heartbeat returning to life. A new signal pulsed once, then twice. Then it began to spread, across every unmonitored relay, every secret frequency, every rebel channel. No words this time, just a simple sound, static, the kind that always came before the voice. And across the galaxy, billions stopped what they were doing and listened, because they all knew what that sound meant. The humans weren't done. They were only getting started. The Dominion had ruled for centuries. Its fleets were endless, its will unbreakable. But now cracks had spread through every wall of its empire. The people were whispering. The soldiers were doubting. And somewhere in the dark, a single black warship was bleeding the Dominion dry. The sovereign could feel his power slipping. Every report that reached his throne spoke of more failures. Fuel depots gone, supply routes silent, outposts erased. He smashed his staff against the floor of his golden hall. No more shadows, he roared. No more ghosts. And so he set a trap. Every ship, every admiral, every weapon that could move was ordered to gather in one place. The Veyron system. A crossroads of trade routes, Veyron had 3 suns and 1,000 moons. The perfect stage for the Dominion's greatest show of force. For 2 weeks, ships poured in from every sector. Carriers the size of cities, cruisers thick as clouds, dreadnoughts whose cannons could burn continents. The sky above Veyron turned black with steel. It was the largest fleet ever assembled. The sovereign called it the Wrath of the Dominion. At its heart floated the Crown of Fire, the sovereign's flagship, a ship so massive its gravity had its own tides. Its armor was made from obsidian alloys, its bridge lined with gold and fear. From that throne of war, the sovereign would destroy the legend of Earth. Let the phantom come, he said. Let it see what real power looks like. For days the fleets waited. No signal, no movement, no sign of the black warship. Admirals began to whisper that maybe the ship had learned of the trap. Maybe it was gone. A small spark of hope flickered through the fleet. Then space rippled. No jump signature. No warning. The black warship appeared, alone. Gasps filled command decks across 1,000 ships. How could one vessel come alone against such force? The sovereign leaned forward, his cold eyes narrowing. At last, he hissed. Destroy it. The order spread like lightning. Thousands of weapons turned toward a single point, and the sky erupted. Missiles streaked across the void like fireflies of death. Plasma beams painted the stars white. Railguns thundered in rhythm with the sovereign's fury. For a moment, there was no space, only fire. When the light cleared, the black warship was still there, untouched. Then it moved. It sliced through fighter wings like wind through dust. It flipped missiles around and sent them screaming back toward their owners. A dreadnought fell in seconds, its engines ripped apart. Another followed, its hull split cleanly in half. The warship moved with impossible grace like a dancer in a storm of destruction. Every beam it fired found its mark. Every strike was final. But even with its power, it was still outnumbered. Hundreds of ships surrounded it now. Walls of steel and light pressed closer, closing the trap. The Dominion fleets roared as one. This was their moment. Their victory. The black warship stopped moving. Its engines dimmed. Its weapons went silent. It floated still in the center of the trap, surrounded by every gun the Dominion owned. Is it surrendering? An officer whispered. The sovereign smiled for the first time in years. At last the beast bows. Then the comms crackled. A voice came through every channel. Calm. Cold. Human. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The words echoed across 1,000 decks. Pilots froze. Officers looked at each other. Even the sovereign's hand trembled, and then, light. The warship ignited with a glow brighter than any sun. Not white, not red, something new. Alive, its engines flared, and the void itself seemed to bend around it. Fire. The sovereign screamed. Fire everything! But it was too late. The black warship accelerated, faster than thought, faster than any scanner could follow, straight toward the crown of fire. There was no explosion. No sound. No wreckage. Both ships vanished. Completely. For a long moment the battlefield was silent. Then panic. Without command, the Dominion fleets shattered. Captains screamed orders that no one heard. Carriers jumped to hyperspace. Destroyers collided as they fled. A fleet once proud enough to darken the stars now scattered like frightened birds. Veyron, once meant to be the Dominion's greatest victory, became its greatest shame. Across the galaxy, news spread faster than fire. The Sovereign was gone. His fleet destroyed. The Phantom of Earth had faced the Empire's full might and won. Some said the warship sacrificed itself to destroy the Sovereign. Others said it didn't die at all, that it slipped into another dimension, waiting for the right moment to return. But everyone agreed on one thing. The legend was real. The humans had returned, and the Dominion, once feared by all, was now the one afraid. In the deep black between stars, something stirred. A shadow, a hum, a pulse. The black warship was gone from sight, but not from the galaxy's memory, because the message still burned in every heart, whispered across every world.
This is not the end.
This is the beginning. The Dominion sky was quiet again, but this time the silence was not victory. It was loss. The greatest fleet in history had vanished. Hundreds of warships gone. The Sovereign gone. And the black warship, the one that had haunted their empire, gone too. For days no one spoke. Command channels were empty. Cities waited for orders that never came. The mighty Dominion, once unshakable, stood frozen. Then the rumors began. Some said the Earth warship had destroyed itself to kill the Sovereign. Others whispered it had not been destroyed at all, that it had simply moved, shifting into a place beyond sight, waiting for the right time to return. The Admiralty tried to take control, but no one listened. Soldiers ignored commands. Captains deserted. Entire planets declared independence. The fear that once kept the Dominion alive was now turned inward. In the streets of the capital world, people painted glowing symbols of Earth across the walls. In the slave colonies, workers dropped their chains and looked up at the stars, whispering the same words that had started it all. This is Earth. We have watched. We have endured. Now we return. The legend spread faster than any fleet could fly. To the rebels on the rim, the warship was a promise. To the Dominion's loyalists, it was a nightmare that refused to die. And to everyone else, it was hope. Bright, impossible hope. The High Admirals gathered in the shattered halls of the Citadel, their golden uniforms stained with ash and fear. This is chaos, one hissed. We must rebuild. With what? Another shouted. Our fleets are gone. Our leader is dust. But the oldest admiral said nothing. He only looked out the window at the night sky, where the stars seemed brighter than before. After a long pause, he whispered, Maybe this is what it feels like, to lose control. In the weeks that followed, the Dominion began to fall apart. Outer colonies stopped paying tribute. Border worlds tore down imperial banners. Entire sectors rose up under new names. The Free Systems, the Reclaimers, the Coalition of Dawn. Everywhere, people spoke of the Earth warship, the shadow that had ended the Age of Fear. But not everyone believed it was over. A transmission appeared in deep space, faint and broken. It came from beyond mapped territory, somewhere no Dominion probe had ever gone. It was just static at first. Then a pulse. Then a voice. Calm, steady, human. The Dominion is not yet gone. The galaxy still remembers the chains. So we remain. The message ended there. No coordinates, no source, just silence after. But those few who heard it swore the voice was the same calm, unshaken tone that had once said, This is Earth. Within weeks, old rebel fleets started moving again. Smugglers vanished from trade lanes. Sensors across 100 systems picked up strange energy readings. Brief, precise, gone before they could be traced. The black warship had never died. It had only gone home, and though the Dominion still held its core worlds, its power was broken. Every admiral who survived the Battle of Veyron carried the same nightmare. The last image they saw before their screens went white. the black ship glowing with impossible light, flying straight into their emperor's throne. That memory lived on. Now, across every world, children grew up hearing the story of a shadow ship that came when the stars were silent, of a forgotten species that returned when the galaxy needed them most, of a voice that spoke not with anger but with certainty. This is not the end. This is the beginning. And in the empty dark between suns, far beyond what scanners could reach, something moved again, a soft hum, a flicker of light, a silhouette with wings of black steel cutting through the void. The Earth warship had awakened once more, not to destroy, not to hide, but to watch, to guard, to wait for the next empire that thought it could silence humanity. Because the age of fear belonged to the Dominion no longer. Now the galaxy feared something greater, humanity, and this time, humanity was not afraid.